Jim Edwards here, post-fight at UFC 202. Conor McGregor defeating Nate Diaz via majority decision in what some people are calling the best fight in UFC history. I'm joined here today by Matthew Wells of MMA Latest News.com, Danny Austin of Post Media, and Jose Youngs of Fansided MMA and Flow Combat. Lads, I want to get your perceptions on whether this really was the best fight of all time. I'll start with you, Matt.
You certainly couldn't have asked for a better fight, especially in this rematch where, you know, more often than not, the winner of the first match wins. And this came down to ultimately, controversial split decision or majority decision rather in some people's minds. Some people scored that second round for Nate Diaz, which was a very controversial round to score because Conor obviously dropped him a couple of times early in the round, but then Nate came on really, really strong and almost got close to finishing the fight. And that's the round that really decided the fight ultimately on the scorecards. But overall, the fight itself, man, it was so incredible. You couldn't ask for anything better. Danny,
what do you think of it? One of the best UFC fights of all time?
One of the best, absolutely. I mean, there's no way that the night of a fight I'm going to come out and say that it's the best fight of all time. These things change over time. You rewatch them, you catch new things. I mean, I walked out of Daniel Cormier and Alexander Gustafsson's fight last year saying, wow, that's the best light heavyweight fight of all time. I don't believe that anymore. That being said, that was an incredible fight. Just the swings back and forth. The way it started one way, you thought Nate was done, and then you thought, no, this is the exact same thing as the second fight or as the first fight. And then it swung back and then swung back. And you couldn't have written that story as a writer midway through because you had no idea what was going on. And just an incredible performance for both of them. Conor said earlier this week that his legacy was secure with Jose Aldo, with the 13-second knockout of Jose Aldo. I genuinely think that a loss in this fight would have done just as much for his legacy as a 13-second knockout over Jose Aldo because it was that incredible and he showed so much heart.
Jose, what do you think about the decision? Some people were disputing it. Some people did score it 3-2 to Nate Diaz, but what did you make of it?
I had it 3-2 Conor. Like Matt said, it really depends on how you score that second round. Conor obviously got the better of the first 4 minutes, but at the end, Nate had him hurt and finished with a flurry. But again, I don't think 1 minute, winning the last minute, is enough to swing that round in your favor if you lose the first 4. I had it 3-2 Conor. I was a little perplexed by the 48 or the draw and then the scorecard for Nate, but if Nate had won, the fight was so close, it wouldn't have been so controversial. I wouldn't have been up in arms, but I did have it 48-47 McGregor.
And Matt, what about you? What did you make of this decision? Obviously, Nate Diaz coming out afterwards saying that he thought he won the fight from round 2 onwards. What did you make of it?
Well, I scored the second round for Conor, first round for Conor, second round for Conor, fourth round for Conor. So that's how I scored it, and I'm not mad at scoring the second round for Nate Diaz, though. I can understand why it was scored that way if you are on that side of the fence, but I'm not mad at the decision. I'm actually not even mad at the one judge that scored it a draw. You know, the fight was just that good, and when a fight's that good, sometimes a draw is justified, okay? And this is one of those fights where I would have been happy with a draw, but like I said, I scored it for Conor. But again, if you want to tell me that you believe Nate Diaz won the fight and you believe that he won that second round, I'm not going to put up much of an argument because it was a very close round, and really it just depends on how you look at fights.
Danny, what do you think? Do you think we go for the third rubber match straight away, or do we let these two perhaps take different routes and then come back to it a bit later down the line?
I think either way works. I think you go for the third. Why wouldn't you go for the third? Conor should give up his featherweight title. If he is really saying that he's not going to go fight Jose at 145 because he's bored by that, he should tell us who he is interested in 145. He's not doing any of that. I think he either has to go defend the title or run back what will be, again, the biggest fight in UFC history. And how do we know that it's the best idea? Because the most fans will tune in. And the sport, ultimately, assuming there's not a title up for grabs, the sport should be about making the fans happy and giving them the fights that they want to see. That fight was incredibly close. Conor showed us so much. And I think that these two have something together. We saw Conor control the narrative the first time. We saw Nate do it the second time. I'd love to see just how both of them would react to the third fight. I mean, is Conor going to come in being the angry, serious guy again? Or does he feel redeemed and feel like he can have a little bit of fun with it? Anyone who doesn't want to see a third fight They're lying to themselves. Who cares
Yeah.
about the competitive integrity? Joe Silva and Sean Shelby have to care about the competitive integrity. We can all just enjoy fun fights. And after that, I want to see a fun fight. And that's the most fun fight I can think of right now.
Yeah, for sure. And Jose, if the third fight doesn't happen straight away, Nate Diaz said in the post-fight press conference that he wasn't interested in anything else and that the fans wouldn't be able to see him fight again until that third fight came around. Do you think there's anything that could possibly tempt him back if it's not Conor McGregor?
Oh, I don't think so. Nate said he doesn't care about the title. Eddie Alvarez is calling for the fight. Khabib wants the fight. Everybody wants to fight Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz only wants to fight Conor McGregor, and I don't blame him. I mean, if he really doesn't want the title, the only fight that I want to see is the fight against Conor McGregor. And Nate Diaz did say, if all these people want to fight me, just make them fight each other, and then the winner, if he does enough and builds himself up enough and sells them enough, maybe by then it is a money fight. So I would like to see Eddie Alvarez fight Khabib for the championship, and if it turns out that Eddie Alvarez is the guy and he can sell that fight and make the people interested, yeah, make that fight. But right now, like Danny said, the only fight the public wants to watch is the third fight between Conor and Nate. So, and honestly, I don't think Nate is physically ready to get back into the octagon anytime soon. He was pretty banged up. Conor was limping out off the stage. I mean, everybody keeps saying, oh, Conor, after he wins this, Conor should go fight at MSG. I don't know if he's going to be physically ready. I mean, that's only a few months away. So give him time, and if they want to run it back at MSG, I know the world is going to want to watch. But yeah, Nate shouldn't have to take another fight if he wants Conor.
Matt, it's been another great fight week here in Las Vegas. What are kind of your closing thoughts for the week?
Anthony Rumble Johnson and Daniel Cormier 2. Make it happen at UFC 205. Make it happen. Anthony Johnson is a freaking scary, scary dude. 13-second knockout over Glover Teixeira, who's obviously one of the other scariest fighters in the whole sport.
He's durable, isn't he?
He's very durable. Just went out there, got caught with that uppercut, and night. And here we are again. Anthony Johnson, as humble as he is in victory and in defeat, how can you not be a fan of the guy? And very respectful Daniel Cormier when he got boozed when they put the camera on him in the post fight, and that was really a cool thing to see. And sharp contrast from what we see with the Diaz's and the Conor McGregors of the world, but those fights still sell. Why? Because they go in the cage and they fight and they scrap it out and put on great performances. People still want to see them. You don't always have to have the epic trash talk going back and forth. You can be a respectful fighter. You can be respectful of your opponent, still get in there, still sell tickets, and still have everybody wanting to see how it plays out.
For sure. And Danny, your closing remarks on this week?
They're twofold. I'll try to keep it short. First of all, I think that I think we can say that June and July, starting with UFC 199, when a number of reporters were kicked out or had their accreditations pulled, following it up with everything at UFC 200, with the drug tests, with all of that. I think that the UFC had a really bad sort of 2-month stretch right there. And I think tonight we finally got back to the best of what the sport is, which is good competition. And ultimately, yeah, the respect thing goes a long way. I think that Nate and Conor embracing each other, we saw the best that the sport has to offer today, even if we didn't see it always earlier in the week. Secondly, man, we're not going to know what's going on with the rest of the year until they announce the New York card.
Yeah.
I was a little bit nervous as a Canadian that Toronto card, they just sort of put GSP on there, assuming he comes back, and the rest of the card they just kind of leave empty. There's too many title fights. No, the November and December cards are going to be absolutely stacked. And again, hopefully some of the eyeballs who tuned in for Conor and Nate tune in to see those fighters and see how many really exceptional athletes there are on the roster. It's an exciting time to be a fight fan and fight media, and we can put July behind us and move on to what should be a really fun end of 2016.
Jose, you got the closing remarks, make them good.
Well, I'm going to, since these two basically took what I was going to say, I'll say I was very impressed by Cody Garbrandt. Yeah. I'm going to close it out with that because Anthony Johnson was outside of Conor, I think, the most impressive because 13 seconds is 13 seconds. But coming into this, one of the narratives was if Cody Garbrandt wins, would he deserve a title shot? And it seems every interview he would include Dominic Cruz's names in every quote because he wants his name and the champion's name linked together. And Dominic Cruz, when he fought Takeo Mizugaki at 178, he beat Takeo Mizugaki in 61 seconds. I said if Cody Garbrandt can beat 61 seconds, he deserves a title shot. He did it in 48 seconds, and he made the point of pointing that out in his post-fight interview, and then the camera pans up to Dominic, and Dominic Cruz is standing there saying, "Come get me." So we're talking about selling yourself. Cody Garbrandt did an amazing job pretty much a year ago. people just thought it was a prospect, and now he's not. I don't want to say he's skipping the line, but people are now talking about the 135-pound division, and they're not including the names Uriah Faber and Dominic Cruz together. It's now there's a third guy that people want to watch. So I am very excited to see that fight. In terms of just the competition, I am so excited.
So there you have it, guys. UFC 202 is in the books. Conor McGregor getting his revenge on Nate Diaz. I've been Jim Edwards. He's been Matthew Wells. He's been Danny Austin. And he is the hottest free agent in mixed martial arts media, Jose Youngs. We will see you next month at UFC 203.